Hey y'all, it's Dr. Shelly of HETV, and please remember to subscribe and hit the bell off to the right side of this video so you can be notified about these upcoming videos. My life ambition is to make a difference. In fact, my motto for my company is to change the world one patient at a time. So that's what today's video is all about. You see, I know as a provider working in the hospital setting, as a care provider, all I see is diabetes, obesity, alcoholism, and all the horrific effects of each. And there are many other things that I see, but a lot of what I see is so preventable. So today, this video is for just regular folk, and it will be in the playlist called Big Mama. Yes, let's talk about Big Mama. Big Mama may have a big belly. Big Mama may have swollen feet. Big Mama may have diabetes. Big Mama may have kidney failure. My job today in the basics of nutrition is to tell you how the food you eat ties into it, because all we do is here eat healthy, but I don't know if there's a lot of people trying to tell you how what you eat plays a role in what you look like. So let's get started, shall we? There's 3 types of nutrients or food that we eat. You know what they are, but you may have lost contact and how we call it in the health setting, what we term these foods as. So I'm going to use some healthcare terms, and I'm going to use some down the way regular folk talk. So if you think of carbs, carbs is number 1. And carbs are not just sugar, but they're anything that breaks down into sugar when you eat it. Now, you may not know that certain foods break down into sugar when you eat it, because those foods might actually be pretty salty. Let's talk about that. Any bread is a carb. Any noodle, rice, pasta, or potato is a carb. Any kind of potato chip is a carb. Cheese twisties, the usual, Hostess Ho-Hos, Twinkies, that sort of thing. All baked goods are carbs. Some are complex, some are simple, but they're all carbs. So remember, potatoes, pasta, rice, anything bread-wise, all that's just carbs, carbohydrates. Also, carbs include natural products, right? Fresh fruit, juices, those sorts of things. Now, the more you do to the food in the carbohydrate department, the more we call it processed. So that's just carbs. Let's move on. The next category is fat. Fat includes nuts, it includes avocado, it includes any oils, like olive oil. It includes things that may be processed, right? Like some of your meats that you eat that have been processed into the Big Mac or whatever. Fats also include butter, margarine, cooking oil, that sort of thing. So, you get it. And I want to say something about those fats. They have been put in the monster category, haven't they? Well, I'm here to tell you that that was wrong. So if you look at fats and think, oh, those are bad, I need you to stop it. Yeah, stop it. We've been fed a bunch of bull crap about fat versus every other kind of food. And it was all bull crap because, honey, let me tell you something. You need fat for brain development. You need fat for brain cell growth. You need fat for insulation on your body. You need fat for healthy skin. You need fat. We'll put it in perspective, but let's carry on. Protein. Protein's kind of easy because if it's a meat, it's a protein. But protein can also be beans, lentils, legumes, nuts, very, very high in protein. And those things are really good for you, you would admit. Now, some people's diet may include no meat. Some people's diet may include no milk or eggs. That's not where I'm going today. I'm simply defining for you how each of these types of groups of foods, whether it's carbohydrates, fats, or proteins work for your body. And that's the focus. So let's talk about carbs. When you eat a carb, it's digested very fast, which is good and bad, because if you ate the carb and it's a complex carb and you ate it, you got energy fairly fast because glucose breaks down into energy. The problem is, depending on how processed that carbohydrate is and how refined and messed with that carbohydrate is, that sudden energy boost can be followed by a deep down doggy dog drop. And that is not what we want. You may have experienced yourself. You may have ate a little something sweet, felt good at the time, honey. A little while later, you had your head on the desk because you couldn't hardly stay awake. That's that drop in the blood sugar from the carbs already being digested. Let's talk about that fat. Fat takes the longest to digest. Now that may sound really bad if you ate a bunch of fat at night, but if you ate a bunch of fat in the morning, well, you'll stay full longer. Oh yes. You see, I want you to think back. I want you to think back to way back. Oh honey, yeah. Some of y'all may have to go a little bit farther back than others. But my point is, if you really think about it, there were very few obese people in the 60s, in the 70s, even in the 80s. Obesity took off in the late 80s, 1990s, 2000s, and you already know what we're doing right now. So why was that? Because people ate a lot of fat back then. You know what people ate? Bacon and eggs. A majority of the population in America had a very serious breakfast with bacon and eggs. And then we learned somewhere along the way that those were bad for us. Bull. And I'm going to explain why. Let's go to protein. Protein, if you think about it, is meat, beans, nuts, and other various things. But those are the main proteins. Proteins are there to pretty much be our last resort for energy. In other words, when you eat the protein-based food, you are going to keep it in your body and it's going to work really well for you, depending on if you have a disease or problem or not. If you have a disease like kidney failure, then that may not be a good idea. But just stay with the healthy person. Just stay with the healthy person. Now, so we have carbohydrates, fats, and protein. When I eat a carbohydrate, and let's just take bread. Let's take garlic bread, because that's a fun favorite, and I just had it the other day. It's not that I don't eat bread, it's that I very seldom eat bread. But let's just eat the bread. The bread goes through my body. It becomes a sugar. The bread is going to literally become a sugar. That sugar is going to go to my muscles first. Why do you care? Because if you move around, you burn up sugar. So the fact that I ate that garlic bread, as long as I took a walk in the park with the dog and the boo thing, I worked that bread right on off. There's some sugar left over from the bread, sugar that went into your muscles. The leftover sugar is going to go right here in your liver. Your liver has a very cool job. It stores the leftover sugar after you put some in the muscles. It stores the leftover sugar for tonight when you're sleeping, not eating sugar. What do I mean? Well, the liver takes the sugar in your body that's left over because you supersized whatever you bought at McDonald's. That sugar is stored in your liver for tonight when you're sleeping and even in times of starvation. Here's what I mean. When you go to sleep tonight, you ain't eating marshmallows and Twinkies, but your body is still functioning and needing energy to function. It's going to still run your heart. It's going to still perform kidney function. Your liver's still going to work. Your digestion still may work, especially if you had peach cobbler at night. Your body continues to work even at night. So what helps the body work at night? The stored sugar in the liver. It's called glycogen. You don't care about that. What you care about is that the storage in the liver only lasts 8 to 12 hours because it's God's perfect plan. You sleep 8 hours. We use the sugar in the liver to continue bodily function. By the time you wake up in the morning, the liver has emptied out. If you need more sugar in the morning like we all do to get up and go, it doesn't mean that you eat food. It means you still have some leftover sugar somewhere else. All right, I hope you've been listening. Here we go. Sugar went in your body. It went to the muscles so you could move. Sugar went into the liver and got stored for tonight while you sleep. Any leftover sugar, because again, you supersized everything you had, is going to go one more place, and this is where the danger comes in. It's going to go in the belly. When you get too much sugar, it goes in the belly. Have you seen the people with the really big bellies? That's stored sugar. Here's our problem. Remember the liver storage was 8 to 12 hours? The belly storage is unlimited. So the belly has no limit to how big it will go. In fact, my daughter asked my dad when he had a big old belly that he ain't got no more. She asked him, Papa, are you having twins? I need y'all to think about that. Stay tuned for the next video. It's going to talk about what to do next.